All right, WTF Barbecue Week continues. Today we're going to look at a barbecue beverage that is great to drink while barbecuing and is also really wonderful to cook with. Today's sponsor is Everglades Seasonings, and you can check them out online at evergladesseasonings.com. Everglades Seasonings has been producing a bunch of different types of seasonings for over 60 years, right from the Everglades in Florida. I was lucky enough to get a whole sample of them, and I got to play with a bunch of them, and they're really, really tasty. I really like their traditional spice. Looks just like this. They also have a really great rub that's perfect for poultry and fish, and we're actually going to use that in the recipe today. And they also hooked me up with a bunch of really other great stuff, like a beer koozie. Of course, this is birch beer. I would never drink beer on the show. And this sweet t-shirt. I'm going to give away a t-shirt. Details on how to enter to win that at the end of the episode. But check them out online at evergladesseasonings.com. Get their product. It is perfect for barbecuing. You can sprinkle it on ribs, you can sprinkle it on chicken, you can put it on fish and pop it in the oven. It's a very, very versatile blend, and it's one of the best that I've tried. Check them out online at evergladesseasoning.com. Alrighty, so today we're talking about beer, and specifically we're talking about one type of beer called a stout, and it looks like this. It's a very dark beer. It comes from England, and it's all about being proud and manly. Even the word stout refers to its stature. It's strong and it's a really bold flavor. Technically, this is a stout porter. Porter beers are the darker beers, and they got their name because they were the favorite beer of porters, you know, people that are carrying luggage and things like that for people. These are burly men, and they wanted a burly beer, and the stout porter was the preferred beer of the time. And speaking of the time, what time exactly? Well, stout porters come from about the 18th century, and as I said, they are from London. Like all beer, stout is a fermented product. A lot of its color comes from the fact that the malt and barley included are really roasted, and they get a lot of color, which imparts a lot of color to the final product. Basically, yeast is introduced to a mixture of water and starch, and starch is, in a sense, sugar. The yeast eats that sugar and kind of farts out little bubbles, which is fermentation, and that is how beer is produced. It is this fermentation process that creates the alcohol content in the beer. Now, there are a number of types of stouts, you know, different minor variations that net a different product. There's an Irish stout, which is generally dry and has a lower alcohol content. A famous brand of this type of stout is Guinness. And then the list goes on. There are imperial stouts, chocolate stouts, oatmeal stouts, you get it. One of the most interesting ones that I came across was a milk stout, which has lactose in it that does not get fermented by the beer yeast, which leaves a sweetness to the final product. On the whole, I think that the flavor profile of a stout is generally a little bit more on the rich side. It's deeper flavors, earthier flavors. Things like chocolate and coffee are kind of reminiscent and a little bit similar to the flavors of a stout. Since this is What's This Food Barbecue Week, I said let's take the stout and actually cook with it and use it in the smoker. So we are going to make one of my favorite dishes. It's kind of funky. It's called beer can chicken. Let's get started. First, lightly coated chicken with a spice rub. I'm using the Everglades Seasoning fish and chicken blend. If you don't have it, you can get it, or you can use something as simple as salt, pepper, and a little garlic. I think that this blend works really, really wonderfully. Coat the entire chicken liberally and the inner cavity. Meanwhile, crack open a can of stout and drink half of the can of beer. If you don't want to drink it, you can pour it in the sink or feed it to your dog. I'm kidding, don't feed it to your dogs. I had a particularly large can, so I actually had to cut off the top. In this case, size does matter, but if you go for a regular 12-ounce can, you should be good to go. Now take your chicken and place it over the can so it sits up all nice and pretty. Once your smoker is going, place the bird in there upright and keep it smoking at a steady 220 degrees for about 3 hours. You can fiddle with the legs of the chicken and kind of create this tripod effect where most of the chicken is resting on the actual can and the two legs are kind of pulling a little balancing act. You'll know the chicken is done when all the juices run clear. Cut it up and enjoy. The reason I think this technique works so well, besides being really fun to do, is that the steam from the beer flavors the inside of the chicken and keeps it moist, while the smoke adds a lot of flavor to the exterior. When you cut this open, you might notice a thin layer of pink on the inside. This is called the smoke ring. That's fine. It doesn't mean the chicken is undercooked. Just make sure all of your juices are running clear and you'll be good to go. So that's how you make beer can chicken. Tune in tomorrow for another What's This Food Barbecue Week. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Everglades Seasonings, and they are going to give you a discount. Use the code SUMMER11 to receive $5 off any purchase of $20 or more. I will see you tomorrow.
Okay.